Oh, good morning. Welcome to my very first live stream. I'm a little bit excited, I have to say. Please let me know if everything's working. That's, as I said, the first live stream, and I'm not very familiar with the setup. But from what I've seen, it should work. So, yeah, you have a chat function on the right side. So, if there's anything, please let me know and just give me a little message. Yeah, cool. So Ralph and me, we've been recently to Egypt, and we've seen quite a lot of people struggling with their material. And for us, it was kind of easy because we've seen immediately what was wrong. Maybe it was the wrong board. Maybe the kite was mistrimmed, and therefore it was easy to help these people and just help them to have a perfect session on the water. And so I thought it might be a good idea to just do a live session. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help you. And I already got quite a couple of messages on Instagram and YouTube. And let's jump right into it. The first question on YouTube was, I'm a beginner level and looking for a lightweight split board for traveling via flight. And that's kind of funny story. I think the best split board out there is probably the one from Nobile or Nobile. I don't know how to spell it. And a couple of years ago at the World Cup in St. Peter-Ording, I saw the Polish guy from Nobile, and he was like, this board is stable. And the customer was like, no, I don't believe you. And then he just put the board between two chairs and just jumped onto it. And maybe he was a little bit drunk, but I think the Nobile board isn't too bad. And actually, a split board is quite a cool thing if you are traveling or want to travel light, or you're on a family vacation and just want to sneak in a little, not a little board bag, but just a little backpack with a kite and a split board and a bar, and that's it. So I think it's a pretty cool thing, split board. And we also have it on the menu with Duotone. It's always, and in every discussion, we're talking about what might be a cool idea for the future. There's always the split board, and we're like, yeah, it would be cool, but it's not here yet. But I'm pretty sure one day we will have a split board. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Sehr schön. Next question was from Arthur Kite. Which one is better for light wind foiling, Juice 13 or Neo SLS 12? I'm 90 kilos. Yeah, that's definitely the Juice. These kites have totally different concepts. So if you want to be as early in the water as possible, the Juice is definitely your weapon of choice. And it's definitely the 13. The 13 is specially made for foiling, and the 15 and also the 17 is more like for the twin tip. And it is because of the position in the wind window. Because if the kite is grunty, which is feels like a tractor, then it's the kite has a deeper position in the wind window. And if you're riding a twin tip, you need to have that deeper position in the wind window. Otherwise, the kite will go too far out of the wind window and will not generate enough power. And therefore, it's super important to have the right setup for the right board. Either it's a twin tip or a foil board. And the Neo SLS is like super grunty. It's more like a tractor. And therefore, if you want to be early on the water with a twin tip, I think the Neo SLS is definitely a good option, especially the 12. And if you want to be early on the foil, even with 90 kilos, definitely go for the Juice. And we designed the Juice in a way that if you're doing a water start, means you want to get on your foil and get going, it's super easy to get out of the water, even in super light wind conditions, when you do like a little loop, and then the kite kind of hooks you and gets you on the board. And that's just the first momentum you need to keep going. Quickly go to the next one. I'm struggle always with the right kite size for my weight, asks Phil Becker. Do you have any advice, rule to find the perfect setup for the next session between 12 and 30 knots? Yeah, that's it's always funny with the right kite size. If you're at the spot, you see many people looking at other kiters and try to see which size they're riding, and based on what they're riding, they choose their kite size. And I don't really like it. I'm always like, I have a look at the conditions and then decide myself what's the right size. And in general, if you're like 50-50 going for the bigger or smaller kite, I would always recommend to go for the bigger kite, because it's just I don't see any advantage of taking the smaller kite unless there's like a storm or something else coming in, and the wind is predicted to pick up. But otherwise, I would always go for the bigger size. And from my experience, to make the right choice is even harder the more kites you have. So I started back in the days with I only had 9 and 12, and that was absolutely easy which size to take, especially in competitions. There was, if it was stormy, I take the 9. If it was more on the light side, I go for the 12, and therefore it was never a question which size. And now, or like a couple of years ago when I was still competing, I had like all the sizes, like 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and maybe for super light wind even choose. And so in the end, it was super hard to pick the right kite size. And I think if you're having 3 kite sizes, depending on your weight, then it's super easy to choose the right one. So like, especially if you're like, let's say 80 kilos, then you just go, for example, for the 8-meter Evo SLS, 11 Evo SLS, and a 13-meter juice, and you're ready to go. Quickly have a look to the next question. Carbon Arne asked, how can the Moses foil number tell me what foil it is? I want to buy a used one, but don't understand the numbers. How does aspect ratio change the numbers? I actually don't know what the numbers say at Moses, but in general, the numbers, they indicate like the square centimeter size of the wing. And the bigger the wing, the more stable, the earlier it goes. But the aspect ratio is like a kind of important thing. Like if you have a look at planes or at race foils, they have a super high aspect ratio, means they're super wide and not very deep. And the higher the aspect ratio, the more racy the foil is. So yeah, that's something in general. I'll quickly have a look here at the chat. Fabigasa asked, I have the hybrid and carved Spirit 950. I'd love to buy the 1250 wing. Is it a problem with the hybrid and the 90 centimeter mast? That's a good question. I think, or actually I don't have the hybrid, I only have the normal foil board, but I think it should definitely be possible. I also have the 1250, and if you're changing wings, the foil itself is balanced. So if you're familiar, or if you're feeling comfortable on the hybrid with a 950, you should definitely feel comfortable with the 1250 as well. And actually, depends if you're riding with straps, because then you're pretty fixed with the position of your feet. But if you're riding strapless, then you can position your feet wherever you want, and therefore shouldn't be any problem, even if it's not possible to adapt the position of the mast. Next question from Skydiver: Is a bar from 217 with 20-meter lines possible for unhooked? Yeah, like it really makes a difference, the length of the lines. And if you're only using 20-meter lines, I would recommend to go for smaller kites. Like 10-meter and smaller is perfectly fine with 20-meter, and especially for freestyle. And if you're going for a bigger kite, like a 13-meter Vegas, then I would recommend to go for 22-meter lines. But this is only for freestyle. If you're riding an Evo or Rebel, like as we always say, if you go for kites which are smaller than 10 or smaller, go for 22 meters. And if you go for 11 or bigger, go for the 24s, because that's the way we develop the kites, and therefore that's always a good thing to stick with things we develop the kites for. Next question from Marvin Schleck. For me, it's a question: if you really need a big kite like the Juice for foiling, or is it better to go for the Neo SLS? Yeah, there's definitely something coming. I don't know if you've followed me on Instagram. I posted a story there's some kite which I can't really tell you about, but that's the ultimate light wind foil weapon. And we tested it yesterday on Lake Starnberger here in Bavaria. And yeah, it absolutely works. It works perfect. And therefore I would recommend to go with a, maybe that's a new kind of a juice, I don't know. I would recommend to go with a kite like that. And the Neo, for sure, it flies early, it generates the pull, but the Neo, as I said, is pretty deep in the wind window, and it doesn't go upwind as good as, for example, an Evo SLS. But in general, the weight factor is a big advantage over like the normal kites, the non-SLS or non-Alula kites. But when it comes to SLS stuff, I would recommend to go for the Evo in terms of foiling. Go for the Evo over the Neo, and maybe in the future there's coming some kind of a Lua juice, and that would definitely be your weapon of choice. Tips for bend to blind. Like from my experience, it's super important to always have the tricks in your mind, so you know exactly what's going up. And if your girlfriend wakes you up in the middle of the night, you should be able to know, okay, I have to go like that. But that's more like in the trick thing, so we do the tricks another day. Robert Schultz, are the duotone foils interchangeable, compatible with the phonetic foils? The phonetic foils are, in general, they're more stiff because they're made for wing foiling. It's compatible, but it's not officially, yeah. So if you have like any failure or stuff like that using the phonetic stuff on a duotone board, then it's probably not covered. Möglichkeit, den neuen Evo S. Is there a possibility to test the new Evo SLS? Yeah, for sure. At the moment, I know that Schmitty, who does like the German stuff, he's in the north of Germany, and I think he's going for all the distributors. And for sure, there will come events in the future, in the near future, where you can test the Evo SLS. Or if you're like somewhere close to me, just ask me. I always have a kite with me, and I'm happy to help. Somebody's Björn is asking about the chair I have in my videos at home. Yeah, that's actually a seat from the car, and I had two options: either I put it in the basement or I use it as a chair, and I decided to go and use it in the flat. For like Baltic Sea and light wind days, would you prefer the Vogue or the Whip? Tough question. Not really able to answer because yeah, that's not really my discipline. But in general, just or if I have no clue, I just try to test them. And as I said, demo days are just around the corner, and if you have the option to test them, try and yeah, make the choice that fits you best. All right, I think all the questions are covered from here. Then I just continue with the ones here. More beginner tips in the planning. Yes, definitely. Always trying to like give tips, and I'm having quite a lot of fun producing all the video stuff, so happy about that. Mr. Brown was asking about the range with the Evo SLS and Juice SLS, and he has 95 kilos, so he's definitely on the heavier side. He has a freestyle board and wants to cover everything from 6 to 60 knots. And is it really necessary to have a click bar? So first of all, we are developing our stuff on the click bar, and I would always recommend to go for the click bar. And honestly, it's once you're familiar with the click bar, sure, I know it's more expensive, but once you're familiar with the click bar, you just don't want to miss it. It's so easy. You're kiting, click, click, and it works perfectly. And I will always recommend to go for the click bar. And also the thrust bar is from the width. And I think it's a little different, but yeah, go for the click bar. It's definitely the best and also the safest solution, because you don't with a normal adjuster you have to somehow get up there, and with a click bar it's the perfect cockpit. The question was with the range, 95 kilos. Yeah, 95 kilos, I would recommend, so you're more on the heavy side, I would recommend to go for the 9-meter Evo SLS, and for the 12-meter Evo SLS, and the 13-meter for foiling. Should definitely be possible to go in 6 knots with 95 kilos. The important thing, or many people are not paying enough attention to the board, and the board really makes a big difference. And I will do, in the near future, I will do a video especially about boards, because it's super important. And in Egypt, we've seen quite a lot of people like having 80 to 100 kilo plus riding 136 centimeter boards, which is absolutely not possible, because it's pretty much the same as a 60 kilo girl riding bare feet. It's you really have to consider your own weight, and therefore make the decision with your board. And just as an option, if you're around 60 kilos, maybe you're a girl, I would recommend to go for go around 136. And if you're slightly heavier, maybe towards the 80 kilos, definitely go around the 140. And if you're more into 100 kilos, go for the 145 or something. But definitely keep in mind that you really need a bigger board, because if you're riding a small board, you're really pushing a lot of water, and therefore you're braking, you're having a lot of resistance against the kite, and then the kite always goes far more to the wind window. And in the end, this results in, like, it's just not the right setup. It's like driving a race car without the right pressure in the tires. It's just, you won't get the performance out of the kite you're looking for. Okay, I think there are a couple of more questions now in the chat. Does it make sense to extend the lines for a 12-meter kite, extend them from 22 to 24 meters? Yes, definitely. So the bars always come with extensions, and if you want to have a small bar with 24-meter lines, definitely makes sense to go for the extension. Still, I'm always recommending to, if you're having like a full setup, go for a 22-meter bar, like the small bar, and a bigger bar, like the 24. Then you have one bar. If there's a problem with one bar, you can just take the other bar and you're good to go, and you have for every kite 100% the right bar. But if you only want to go with one bar, it's definitely a better option to extend the lines from 22 to 24 instead of riding a 12-meter Evo or Rebel with a 22-meter lines. Björn is asking which bar has a stopper to do a deadman, or don't you need a stopper for a deadman? The normal click bar definitely has a stopper. So if I'm doing something like that, I'm always using the stopper and really tighten it up, and then it's absolutely no problem doing a deadman. And you definitely need a stopper for doing a deadman, otherwise you're just falling out of the sky, which is also pretty funny because the kite just will fly behind you, and then it's like jumping down a cliff. John is asking, hi there, what are the best conditions to practice foiling? What is the best setup? Yeah, good question. Thanks. I would go for medium winds. So not something below 10 knots. Go for something from 10 to 15 knots. So you don't have like super strong winds. You can still use a smaller kite, but you don't have to make your mind about the kite staying in the air. It will fly perfect, and once you're on the board, you won't have problems with like being overpowered or getting super fast, and therefore I think that's a pretty good option. And I've done a video or like a foiling tutorial. I would recommend to have a look at the foiling tutorial, because if you do it step by step the way I explained it, I'm pretty sure you will have great success in no time, and you will not do all the mistakes you see from many other guys doing like the dolphin and not getting in control. And there's also a little risk with the foil, so always recommend to be careful and start, as I said, in winds between 10 and 15 knots. That's definitely a good setup. Yuli is asking, I want to have additionally to my 12-meter mono, I want to have a Neo in 8 or 6 or 9, or no, 2 kites. So Neo in 8.6 or 9.7. Which size would you recommend? 77 kilos and mostly directional. Depends on your spot, but if you're already having a 12-meter mono, I guess you're not in the windiest region. Go for 12 should be the next step, the 9, not the 8, because otherwise you're having a gap of 4 square meters, and that's generally a little bit too much, I would say. And yeah, no, go for 9 and 7. Next question, would you recommend using a different bar brand than the kite that you're using? In general, it's absolutely no problem. If if it works fine, then it just works. And just I've already made I made 2 videos about it, about the right line length and how to check your lines, and just make sure that in the end the lines are more or less equal lengths, like front lines and back lines, and then you're good to go and can use any bar you want. There's also the V, so the position where the front lines like split up, and maybe you have to get like a different distributor for the V, or it's perfect if it has an adjustable distributor like the click bar, but in general you can use any bar you want on any kite. One is asking, why are many pros using the Select SLS instead of the Jaime SLS? Does the Select SLS provide enough performance for experienced riders? Yeah, for me personally, I prefer the Select SLS over the Jaime, because it's the way the tips are flexing. So I have, from time to time, I have harder landings, and then for me personally, I feel like that the tip might do like a little deep dive, and then I'm crashing, and the Select has tips that fit better to my riding. But the boards are pretty close together. But in the end, if I have to make a choice, I would go for the Select, and Aaron would go for the same. There's a board coming up for next year. I'm riding it already. I really like it because it has the perfect mix between the Jaime and the Team Series. So it has a little bit more rocker than the Jaime, but it feels like stiffen up Select. So that's probably the choice for the pros for next year. But in general, just give it a quick spin. Like, I heard everything from I like the Jaime, I like the Select, and if you're having hard landings, and like me, I'm a little bit above 80 kilos, then it's good to have like stiffen up tips. Hell 2000. I just bought my own material. Do I have to prepare something at the bar before I get started? Can't answer that question because I need some more information about which material, which year, and yeah. Mattis is asking, what do you think about the Duotone Rebel? Yeah, we just in Egypt we tested the Evo SLS, also the 22 Evo SLS already, and also compared it directly to the Rebel, and these kites are totally different concept. So the Rebel really feels heavy at the bar. You think you have like a super powerful kite, and it's just yeah. Our comparison was like the Rebel is more like a V10 big block American car, which is super powerful and always gives you the feeling that there's a lot behind the kite, and the Evo is more like a sporty race car with a turbocharged 4-cylinder, but is equally powerful. So that's just different concept, I would say. Lasse is asking, what are your plans for summer? A lot of foiling, big air, or freestyle? Actually, I have to say I'm really enjoying kiting at the moment, because for me it was a lot only about wake style, and now I'm really enjoying all the different disciplines, and whatever the conditions are perfect for, I do. So yeah, that's perfect, and also gives me the opportunity to have a big variety in the materials, and just test everything and get the best out of it. which length of the surfboard would you recommend? Yeah, I got that question somewhere else. Got get back to YouTube and the Instagram comments in a second. Which length of the surfboard would you recommend for foiling and surfing? For my girlfriend, 170, 55 kilo. Um, yeah, there's three different sizes, and I would definitely go for the smallest. That's definitely the right one for 55 kilo, and the length of the board doesn't really matter once you're foiling, because then the board is in the air and doesn't make a huge difference. But so I would put the focus on um, when she's wave riding, and just check which size fits best. But my guess is that the smallest size fits best. um, Question for the Coda. um, will it only be built for the team, or will it be available for everybody? Don't know yet, actually. We have really promising results with the Coda kites. They're jumping huge and super powerful, also with the SLS technique and or SLS material, and have lots of hang time. But at the moment, I'm not sure what will be, yeah, when they will be launched and for whom they will be available, because with Corona, it's a little bit different with all the supply chain, and we're struggling to just get everything available again. And so there's probably only a little chance that the Coda will come soon. Held 2000 core sensor 3 Pro bar and is new, never used before. Okay. Um, I would, as I said, do the check with the line length, and if the lines are equal, then it's all good. And check the quick release, so you're on the safe side, and I think that's cool. Nash pivot, or would you prefer the Evo? Yeah, that's if I say no, go for the Nash, then I'll probably lose all my contracts. But no, for real, I really try to give you like an open opinion and be honest, because I think that's what matters in life. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed by the pivot. Never ridden it before, but I always see like or the reading kites, which is probably actually a pivot. Um, they're having good hang time. They're flying well. So if I was you, I would just give it a try and go for what fits you best. Um, Probably both good kites, and the Evo is a perfect all rounder and really, I would say, the right kite for 70% of the people. And yeah, just give it a go and see what fits best for your riding. Um, Rob is asking, I really enjoy all different riding styles, freestyle, foil, wave. Um, have to get myself a new harness. Any thoughts on hook and spreader combination harness? Some companies don't produce them anymore. Huh. Sorry, Rob, can't answer that question. I'm not that much into harnesses. I'm just having my harness, which fits perfect for me, and yeah, sorry, can't answer that question now. Any single skin project? What do you mean, Raphael? And Marcel's asking if I'll go and visit my brother at the Segeljungs. Yeah, I would love to, but now I'm having a job, and yeah, we'll see if it's possible. They're starting their Pacific crossing, I think, tomorrow, and then next stop is Französisch Polynesia, and from the pictures, it looks perfect. I would love to go there. Just jump back to the YouTube stuff. Okay, I think that's it with the questions. I go for the Instagram questions. Okay. My best combo for riding in 7 to 9 knots with Evo SLS 12 meter and Carve 700. Yes, sounds good. I've noticed that it makes a big difference if you really want to start early, like in super light wind conditions. You have to have a slightly bigger foil board, and I can imagine that also the 700 might be not ideal for starting early. Maybe consider going for the 950, but in general, it's a perfect setup. definitely. Okay, Morit's question is already answered. Which bar setting attachment points are you riding for the Evo SLS 10 square meter? Good point. I'm actually always riding it on the medium setting because that's the setting we have developed, and we're pretty comfortable with the medium setting. Like we've always, especially it's for the 10, we're testing it in, let's say, from foiling in 6-7 knots, but also trying to really see what's happening in 40 knots in Blueberg and Cape Town, and then we try to find the ideal setup. But if the wind is really strong, it's also possible to go for the hard setting, like my personal choice. Exactly. Like Fly Surfer Peak, Gin Marabu. Yeah, Rafael, I don't think there are single skin projects in the pipeline. Oh, not for now. Not that I know. Cool. I think that's it so far with the questions. Any more questions from your side? And if you have like any ideas for upcoming videos, or if there's something you would love to see, please just let me know. And also, did you enjoy the live stream? Is it cool for you? And is it something you can profit from? Is it something we should do, like, I don't know, once a week and have different topics and then just discuss different things and have a look at different developments? Just curious, so if there's anything, please let me know. Marcel is asking, what duotone kite would you recommend for someone who does big air, wave, and foil? Big air, wave, and foil. That's pretty much sounds like an all-rounder. So I would definitely recommend to go for the Evo SLS. And me personally, I really like the 8-meter Evo SLS. This is like jumps huge. You have perfect control. It's quick, but not too quick. It loops well, and also then in addition, maybe the 11-meter. And if you're around 80 kilo, then that's pretty perfect. DW Nature Sports asking, will there be a light wind kite? Yeah, like check my Instagram. That's the light wind kite which is coming, and it will change everything. It's a huge step forward, and the kite, the 15-meter is, I think, around 2.6 kilos or something, and the 13 around 2.4. So if you're having the kite in your hands, or if I just throw it over to you, you're like, oh, okay, that can't be true, because it's so different. And everybody who's like, if somebody's helping me to launch the kite, then they're like, okay, that's weird. That kite literally weighs nothing, and you always have to secure the kite on the beach, because even in no wind conditions, the kite tends to fly away. Cool. Yes. I think that's it for now. Yes. All right, cool. No more questions. And yeah, as I said, I hope you enjoyed the live stream. Thanks a lot for watching. And if there are any more ideas for videos for something else, please just text me a message or write a comment, and I will try to get back to it. And maybe we do this on a weekly basis. All right, enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. Bye bye.